All right, this is Marty with Marty's Diesel, and while I already have this sending unit here, I just did a video on how to test the sending unit, basically see if it's giving you a messed up reading or whatever. I figured I already had this thing modified for a pickup tube previously, so I'll make a little video on how to do a pickup tube. Typically, you drill a hole in the top of the sending unit in an area that's not going to affect this. So once this pickup tube is installed, take a look right here, we'll just mock it up. Once that pickup tube gets installed, notice that it does not mess with the sending unit operation, okay? And this can actually, it could be over here, it could be over here. Realistically, you just have to make sure that whatever's on top of this sending unit, it could be a bed rail, it could be if it's like a flatbed, maybe you have something there. You just got to make sure that it does not come in contact with that. So I already had a hole here. I already had this in a crew cab short bed 6-liter. So I'm going to show you how to put a pickup tube assembly together. Normally when we send out a pickup tube, we send out 2 of these style seals right here, okay? Technically only one on the inside is really all that's needed, but I usually like to send out 2. You take and you put one on the top side. And you would put it right here just like that. Then you take this one that's left over and you put it on the bottom side. Notice that the short side of the bulkhead goes on the top and the long side of the bulkhead goes on bottom. Now you're going to put the locking nut on the bottom, okay, and you're going to spin that up as tight as you can make it. You're going to put 2 wrenches on it and you're going to tighten that thing down like really tight. To be honest with you, you want to make sure this thing is so tight that it's never going to come back apart, okay? This thing right here, the 90-degree fitting, goes on top, and this has to do with making sure that you don't have anything over top that's going to affect the pickup tube. Remember I talked about that with like the bed, the flatbed, or maybe the bed rails on a regular bed. And you basically will point this generally in the same direction that the factory lines are facing. Let me get this tightened down just a hair more, okay? And that's it for the top side. Now, for the bottom side, this is a piece of raw, like steel 1/2 inch that I had laying around. I don't have any pre-flared ready to go. But normally, you would have a flare right here. And that flare would match this angle or this flare on this fitting. And they would match up. So basically, when you put this on there, they would basically, they would look kind of like a ball and socket. It would kind of go like this over top, okay? So what you would do, let's act like there's a flare here. You would take this from the bottom, slide it up. So the bigger side, of course I didn't do this beforehand. Son of a gun. Give me a second. And we're back. And with movie magic, I was able to move this up off screen. So anyway, this side of the sleeve, the bigger side, is going to be facing there. And just imagine there's a flare there. I just don't have one pre-made right now. Same thing, this nut, you're going to slide it in from the bottom like this, okay? And it's going to go like this. And when it's all put together, you're going to see how that sleeve sticks out the bottom side of the nut. And ordinarily, what would happen here is, you would then screw this onto here, okay? Once that gets screwed onto there, everything's nice and tight. Now, in this particular case, once this entire assembly is installed, if you still had your umbrella on there, you would find out where this umbrella would stop at. And what you want to do is you want to cut this pickup tube like maybe a 1/4 inch above where the umbrella stopped. And make sure that you deburr it. If you cut it with anything that's like maybe a little bit of a rough cut, you want to make sure that you don't leave any metal in there. But basically, that right there is going to be the finished product of what a sending unit with a pickup tube installed is going to look like. Another thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that when you're drilling your holes, you definitely want to avoid drilling through these. These are going to be clocking your sending unit. So the area that you have the drill through is going to be through here, or even through here, okay? And you want to make sure that you're not going to run into anything on top like I previously said. So act like that had a flare and the flare goes up there, and then you're going to trim this down to the length that you need. A lot of times our sending units, our pickup tubes will come pre-cut, but that's not always a guarantee, and I would highly recommend you double check it before you put it in your truck anyway, no matter what. So that's it for today's video on how to do a pickup tube.